Old cars, like my Peugeot Partner 2007. Love them or hate them, there is one thing that is certain about them: they will rust. So for example, on my car, when you open the door, end of the rail, the stopper, it's extremely rusty. And I'll remove it in a second so you can see how rusty it is. So I've taken it off the car and you can see there is quite a bit of rust kind of everywhere. I mean, water has been standing there, that's why it's quite a bit rusty, not everywhere, but it should look like this. This is zinc plated. You can first of course polish it. I've polished it only on that side, probably can't quite be seen. And you can put primer on that, you can put paint on that, it will be as good as new, probably outlast your car. I mean, I suspect one might say, why do you want this? Just scrape off the rust treat it, paint it, and that's it. I mean, I'm on the opinion that you do something once, you don't do it multiple times. If your car is valuable, mine is not, you might not get these parts from anywhere. So you might want to zinc plate those so they'll last much longer, probably the lifetime of the vehicle. So this is a video of how to zinc plate your small car parts and they'll last forever. And this is not as difficult or expensive as you might think. Stay tuned. So what do you need for the zinc electroplating? First of all, you need the rusty part. Second of all, you need something to scrub off the rust. I have a very old brush here. You need zinc, of course. This zinc is a marine anode that I bought from Amazon or eBay. I'm a bit lazy, so I use paint stripper in order to remove the paint rather than just scrubbing with the brush. Or even a different solution is Brickem patio cleaner that contains roughly about 8 to 10% hydrochloric acid or muriatic acid. This is also good to etch once you've cleaned the rust, to etch the metal. Of course you need white vinegar. I have this that I bought from the shop, it's 24%, but you can get any white vinegar, distilled vinegar, 4 to 6%. I have to dilute that to about 4%. Old phone charger, anything that is less than 1 amp, this is 150 milliamps, will do. Some barbecue skewer in order to mix or take out parts. Crocodile clips, but that's optional, it's just easier to connect stuff. Wire, of course, this is just generic wire from B&Q. Baking soda, if you use hydrochloric acid to neutralize it. Some pots and pans, this is just yogurt stuff that I have kept it. Sanding paper to make the rusty part better. Of course gloves, when you use those, if you use hydrochloric acid or the other stuff. You can have a primer after and paint. I haven't put these in those. Of course water and some small bits and pieces. The zinc anode, I'll cut it in 3 equal parts and you'll see why I'm doing that later on. Something like this. I've cut it in 3 equal pieces and drilled a little hole in all these 3. Next thing is we need to prepare zinc solution. What I'll do, I have this plastic tray and I'll put my white vinegar inside. I've diluted the other big bottle 24% to 6% or 5.5%. Pour your vinegar inside. Then I'll put these are the 2 zinc anodes that I've cut. I've put a wire through them, one from that side, another one from this side. So I'll dip them in like that, inside, and then the other one. Next is to put electricity through them, and that's my phone charger. I have cut the adapter there, just 2. And generally, if you don't want to use a multimeter to measure which is you need to know which is the positive and which is the negative, you just connect it as it is to both sides of these zinc pieces there. Because water has quite a bit of resistance, so you won't have much current traveling. So I'm using just normal table salt, 1 teaspoon. For this amount of liquid, that should be kind of alright, and I have to mix it up so it dissolves. And that's my setup. That's why I use the crocodile clips, just to clip it so it's easier to manipulate. Otherwise you can just hook it up, the wire, put it on the wire, but it's just easier with the crocodile clips. And that's it. Next you run your power supply. Once you run it, then you can see that there are quite a bit of bubbles coming out from that side. This one doesn't have very little bubbles, but that one is bubbling quite a bit. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. And if you don't have a multimeter, that's the negative, your anode. And the other one that doesn't have the bubbles is the positive. That's why I have the red crocodile clips to that one, and that one with the bubbles is your negative that's coming from the power supply. So you keep this roughly about 2 hours, so there is a bit of a zinc solution in this vinegar and a bit of salt. Oh, it's bubbling quite nice now, you can see it. The other one is not really bubbling, so that is your negative. When you're doing that, these bubbles are just small amount of hydrogen, so you want to perform this when you leave this 2 hours somewhere that is not too enclosed, so hydrogen doesn't build up. So you have to be a bit of a ventilated area. Next is to scrape off the loose rust from that part. There we go. I've stripped a bit the loose parts from rust, so it's rusty kind of inside both ways. And of course, if you have something else, you can use sanding paper and something, but I'll be using paint stripper. You basically put it in, wait for 15 minutes, and it should strip off the paint. It's just easier than scraping this paint off. So I kept it for an hour and a half. It has cleaned a bit here and there, this paint stripper, but it hasn't really started stripping here and there, but it's not that quick. So next, I know that this works, the Bricken patio cleaner. It says hydrochloric acid, and you need a bit of scrubbing, so I've poured some in here, and you put it in and you scrub it, and also it removes the rust. So basically you need bare metal all around, so it removes a bit of the rust. I mean, to remove a bit of the iron as well, but very little, because there is quite a bit of metal in here. So I'll put it in there, keep it half an hour, take it out, scrub it until the whole thing is bare metal. So basically I'll put it inside and keep it there for half an hour, and then scrub it with a brush every half hour. So after 5.5 hours of scrubbing, it's nearly pure metal. I mean, you can't quite see it. I'll take it out soon from the hydrochloric acid, the Bricken patio cleaner. It's pretty much pure metal, but once you take it out from the hydrochloric acid, and has etched the metal as well, it will flush rust very quickly. So before putting it and do the zinc plating, this is my other piece that has zinc pretty much everywhere. Well, it is actually everywhere, even the inside. The problem is I initially did it like that, put it in there, connected it on this piece, the zinc on the other side, the solution, put it, and you can get coverage everywhere outside, but inside it's extremely difficult to get any electricity. Basically, if you put it like that, the zinc is here, for example, like that, the zinc ions and the electricity will flow to the least resistance, so it will go towards this edge or to that side. It will not go inside. So what you have to do is, I initially will do that for complex shapes, because this is slightly complex shape. I'll put that inside of the solution, standing like that. This is on top, not touching at all. You have to try not to touch at all. So when you put it, it will coat with zinc inside, something like this. It will stay inside like this, and it will coat the insides first, and then of course put it inside, rotate it, leave it like 15 minutes to zinc each side, like turn it around, turn it that side, and it will coat it. But initially you have to kind of have it inside like that, so it will coat the inside of the surfaces. So finally, my concoctions, it's actually pure metal everywhere, and there is no paint anywhere around, even inside and anywhere. Then there shouldn't be no flecks, it just should be pure metal. And this whole thing is really, I scrubbed it 5.5 hours later on, and now it's rinse it with water. So here's the piece that has been washed with water. So I'll connect that side, the wire here, just twist it around, doesn't need to be too perfect. So then what I'll do, I'll put it over that piece and I'll make sure it doesn't touch two of the other zinc pieces on both sides, so it will get zinc on both sides and this will get zinc from the inside. The negative goes on your piece that you want to zinc, that you want to put zinc on, and the positive goes to the zinc down here, and you basically switch it on. The negative is to your piece and the positive goes to your zinc pieces, so you should see bubbles rising from your piece that you want to zinc on. So the way I've positioned them, so there will be zinc from inside and there will be zinc from both sides. So I'll leave it like that and take it from time to time to see if zinc has been deposited. So this is why I cut the zinc in 3 pieces, so I can put it inside, because it's quite difficult to zinc that inside. So there are 2 pieces from both sides and 1 inside to coat it inside, and this is it. So 15 minutes passed and this probably has been zinced from the sides and from inside. So I'll switch it off and check it every 15 minutes to see where the zinc has been deposited. So I'll move it around left, right and center, flip it around to have zinc deposited where it hasn't been. So I'll switch it off and you can see there has been zinc quite a bit here on the top. You probably can't quite see it on the camera, but it's a very thin layer here as well. Inside also, inside has been deposited, probably there is not much light, but also there has been quite a few deposits, so it hasn't been around here, so I'll push it to that side and then switch it on again, and every 15 minutes either I'll move it forwards or backwards, remove that, place it on the side so everything gets coated. Position it like that and switch it on again. So I'll do that every kind of 15 minutes to kind of flip it around. I mean, you can hang it off something, like if you have a bigger pot, but that works quite well, gets coated from that side, from this side, also from that side and from underneath as well. So that's actually pretty good good split. So I'll check it again in 15 minutes. Another 15 minutes pass, so overall half an hour. Take it again. It's pretty much zinc uniformly up to, probably you can't quite see it, hopefully you can see it on the camera, it's up to here, so I have to move it forward so it coats that side. There is a bit of zinc there, there is a lot of zinc around, actually everywhere, apart from down there. I mean, I'm trying to show it. There you go, there is the line there where there is no zinc underneath there, so I have to push it forward as much as it go, so all the electricity will go there. So I'll push it like that forward so it coats down there. Another 15 minutes passed and you can see this is quite gray everywhere, so there is a zinc that is deposited on the piece. Well, I mean, it's not uniform everywhere, you've got a little bit of a shade there, so I have to move this piece, but it's pretty good. It's even inside, you probably can't quite see, but it's even inside there of the element, so I have to move it around here, so there will be a little bit here, but it's coated quite well, so I'll keep it like that quite a bit more so it gets coated uniformly everywhere, and I'll keep going. It depends on how much zinc you want to deposit on that piece, but yeah, that should be actually alright, but I'll keep it a bit more like that so it it gets coated uniformly. So I generally keep this roughly about 2 hours. It should be good enough. It's more than happily depositing in zinc. You see the bubbles from my piece. So I'll stop it. Of course, you have to stop it before touching it. You don't want to touch it because I've got zinc inside, so I don't want to touch the positive and negative. Once that's done, I can kind of inspect it. There is zinc pretty much everywhere. What I'll do, I'll remove that one, or I'll push it aside, put it like that, a bit like that. So both sides get coated from let me move it like that, and then flip it a few times until it gets coated evenly throughout. So like that. So these sides will get coated, those sides will get coated, kind of the edges will get coated, and I'll flip it every, let's say, 10 minutes, flip it aside. And I'll probably do again the middle, because inside of the component is really the most difficult bit. That's why I put it on top of that small piece there. Otherwise it gets quite difficult because the electricity goes to the least resistance. So I'll keep it like that 10 minutes, flip it around another 10 minutes, flip it another time 10 minutes, and like that until it's kind of uniformly coated everywhere. What you can also do, have your 3 pieces like that as they are, and I have like a t-shirt or cloth that is kind of on top. So then you put your piece kind of in the middle above this single piece down there, so it doesn't touch, you don't make a shortcut, and then you switch it on. Once you have, of course, bubbles and so off of hydrogen. So from time to time, what I do every 15 seconds or so, I just move this piece up and down, so it kind of distributes the zinc solution around. Then let it like that, and this gets quite uniformly inside. You don't need to be quite careful that you get a shortcut, because the piece of cloth kind of, if you can see there, separates though, and you from time to time you just tap it slightly up and down with gloves, of course, kind of to distribute a bit forward, a bit backwards, to distribute it, and then it starts bubbling again. That's probably the best way, and it's quite uniformly coats everything because I'm moving it as well. I'm too quick, but every 15 seconds is probably quite good. With that technique, it looks pretty uniformly covered everywhere inside. You can't probably quite see it, but it's uniformly covered. Once you take it out of the bath, you have to rinse it straight away with water, because the vinegar will start to eat it, like form rust on the zinc. Well, it's not metal, iron rust, but it's a zinc rust. Once you've washed it, because of the hydrogen during the electroplating, you get this steel embrittlement. So what you can do is put this in the oven for 2-3 hours at 200 degrees in order for the hydrogen that is inside the steel to get out, and you don't get the hydrogen embrittlement. So I've put it in the oven, both pieces on a aluminium sheet there, and the oven is the top and the bottom, and also it's just above 200 degrees. So keep that, close it, and keep it for 2-3 hours to remove these hydrogen molecules within the steel there. So while the components are baking, what do you do with the hydrochloric acid, the brick and patio cleaner that you used? Well, you can't just check it out in the sink or in your garden or somewhere else. So you want to just neutralize it, and I'm using this M&S baking soda or bicarbonate of soda. But you have to be rather careful. You don't just chuck baking soda inside it, because it will produce a lot of bubbles. Only slightly. What I'll do is I'll tap it only slightly, wait for the reaction to subside, then tap a bit more, and so on until you basically get no reaction, and this will neutralize the hydrochloric acid. and you might chuck quite a bit in there until no reaction, but don't chuck it all because it will have a quite bit of reaction. So basically you do this until you get no reaction. The same baking soda, I can just dump it in and nothing's coming out. No matter how much I shake it and do it, there is no reaction. So you can just dump this then in your sink, outside, anywhere. It's just salt. There is nothing that toxic out there. So these are the two pieces that came out of the oven, completely zinc coated and protected. Of course I have to put primer and paint it over, and then I'll put it on the car. So this is how I do zinc electroplating on my small rusty bits and pieces on my car. Let me know, hopefully somebody found it useful. Let me know for any comments in the comment section. Thank you.